That's really interesting because I work with a lot of people. So I work in mental health. I'm a mindfulness practitioner. I'm also a psychotherapist. And I work with a lot of people who are absolutely terrified to connect with themselves.
Yeah.
And everything that they do on one way or another is a way of avoiding themselves, be it
Mm.
filling their diary with so many supposedly good activities, but there's that much that they don't have time to stop and just be, or overeating, drinking, whatever it is they're doing, just to avoid being with themselves, because it is scary,
Mm.
isn't it?
Yeah, it can be. It can be because I think that I'm going to use the word shadow, right? Because it is bantered around a lot in the spiritual world, but it's sort of like there is a fear of the unknown that
Yeah.
people have, and it's sort of like until you really know what you like, even basic things like how do you like your eggs? Do you know what I mean? Until you know your joy and the things that you like, I don't think it's advisable to go into shadow, which is that avoidance, of being able to connect to oneself.
I love
So,
starting with joy. I think this is brilliant.
yeah, yeah. I think that, I have found that when people have connected to themselves, it makes me cry because there is an overwhelming joy and peace, really, centered. And it might only be fleeting, it might only be a few minutes, but they've just done it and they recognize that and they know what that feels like. Then they can move on to something else.
So, how did you get involved in all of this? What's your journey?
Um, um, when I was a real little kid, and not a big kid like I am now, but when I was about 7, I used to see faces in my room when I was going to sleep or pre-sleep. And this went on for a year, maybe more. And they would come in, I call them globules of faces. So they were like these, I don't, whatever you want to call them, like these things, these images of all different faces. And none of them were particularly bad, none of them were particularly great. And they would come and they would dart around my room, they'd come into my face and then they'd disappear again or go somewhere else. And it used to terrify me. And I used to wake up at night really, really scared about that. And actually, it was around about the same time that Carnation Street was on TV. You remember when Carnation Street was running? And my parents used to think I just wanted to come downstairs and watch Carnation Street. And it wasn't that at all. But this went on for a really long period of time. And then I would just, I don't know, I've always known things. So, like, my father would say something and I'd know whether it was true or not, or I'd know what somebody had in their handbag. I just had this thing, and that stayed with me. I was brought up in a very Catholic Christian
Yeah.
Irish background. And so we had to go to church. So already, I suppose, I had that believing in something that isn't physical,
Yes.
which is what really gives. Um, and then and then I used to have again another master's at 14. It was when things started to change a little bit, and I recognised that. And I still had a knowing. I used to invent things as well, invent things that were going to happen or things. And now I see later that they've come out. These things have come out. They've already been done. But when I was a kid, I invented them. To me, I invented them. But whether or not that's on a timeline of before or it was happening at the time, I don't. And then and then I just came across, I don't know how. Yes, I do. Somebody gave me a pack of tarot cards.
Mm.
And so I played with these tarot cards and I looked and I read up about them. And again, I'm talking a long time ago, there wasn't that much information to find. We never had the internet.
Mm.
So it was all going to a library or try and work it out yourself. And then, so by the time I was 16, I was doing card readings for people in a cafe. That
Oh,
it just happened to happen. It just happened, and it was quite accurate at what I was telling people. So, but I always knew there was something. And then I don't know, that just carried on. And then what I would call astral projection was happening.
okay.
I get different things in my dreams, be able to write them down. Just a sense of knowing, I suppose. I never categorized it as clairsentient, clairaudient, though I never knew any of those things. At that time, I never knew any of that. And then my belief system was a little bit different. So then I went into witchcraft and learned um, some things about the pagan way of life as opposed to a religion.
Yes.
And it was never a religion to me. It was always a very open, this is the earth, this is what you can feel. And then joined a witchcraft group and learned loads of different modalities. So from the Kabbalah to Kundalini to alchemy to Italian witchcraft, loads of different things all the way through that. It wasn't just a Wiccan group, it was also a knowledgeable group that wanted to learn different things. That's where my background was. And then connected to different deities and then learned how to do trance mediumship. It just happened. And all along, I suppose all of those different things have blended into one another.
And have you always done this as your work? Has this been your life?
No, I've always done it. I've always had people find me or come to me, but it's never always just been my work. In fact, I trained in holistic therapy and hypnotherapy and NLP and all of that. So I did have a salon, I don't know, 15 years, 20 years ago, something. Yeah, maybe 20 years ago, of doing that for a little while. And then circumstances happened. My mum became ill and I went to government. But I'm not really into, not even now, I'm not really into just doing a card spread for somebody. There's so much more that somebody can have without just doing tarot cards. There's a much more of a fulfillment of growth, for people. So as far as like making it my work, only now,
Oh, wow.
only now. So, but I have, voluntary and given hundreds and hundreds of hours of my time for nothing, and helped lots of other people. So that was the main goal, really. And then I did have another business, which actually was a cleaning business, which was very successful, employed lots of staff, hurt my back, couldn't carry on. So yeah, I've trained in lots of different things because I quite like the adventure of it. I like knowing that you can do it.
Yeah.
I like seeing different people and who they are. And, I became a gas engineer,
No way.
which was great. And it's taught me loads. I mean, I don't ever want to do it now, but I mean, at the time, it's
I
good.
always think of it as having a wild card. So my wild card is so I'm a psychotherapist. I do mindfulness. I'm very much into, like talking and connecting with people through, those kind of ways. But my wild card is that I'm also a trained aerobics instructor. I've never used,
Okay.
but I have that bit of paper somewhere saying I have a CYQ in exercise to music.
I can do it.
I can do it.
Yeah. I think
I can
it's all part of growth.
grapevine.
It's all part of growth, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And when you're frightened to have a go at something else, why not? Give it a go. If you like it, do it. If you don't, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.